Welcome to a very special D.I.C.E 2012 edition of Feedback. We're here at the Video Game History Museum with some incredibly special guests as well. Past life Viking from Epic Games, Mr. Rod Ferguson, also connoisseur of Mantinis.
Yes, a lovely, awfully light pink Cosmo today.
Yeah, because if it were darker, it would be more masculine.
Absolutely.
Whatever your therapist tells you, Rod.
Look, you're not exactly coming from a position of strength.
This is water, and this is berry emergency, and that is it, and vodka.
Shirley Temple.
And lots of and Shirley Temple.
There you go.
Also, a guy that we've been talking to on X-Play recently as well, semi-retired magician. Semi-retired magician from Gearbox, Mr. Randy Pitchford is here as well.
Cheers.
Connoisseur of chocolate milk.
There we go.
Cheers.
There's actually nothing in that chocolate milk but chocolate milk.
That's what he tells us anyway.
Delicious.
That is what he tells us.
That's what he tells us. But healthy calcium.
Well,
Yes.
you know, I don't perform
I also didn't think chocolate milk fizzed
anymore,
either, so that's
money.
probably something he added.
I'm not a professional magician anymore.
Yet.
Anymore.
If the games things don't work out, though,
I can always do
you
that.
can pop a dove out of your inside jacket pocket.
I might just do it right now.
That would be
At any moment, a dove could go off at any moment.
Don't let
I'm
us
just
know
so
it.
happy to see you.
And then the best boss in the world, the executive producer of X-Play, Mr.
Check.
Wade Beckett.
checkbook.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Wade, have you ever been on this side of the camera before?
No.
So these people have no idea what you even look like.
No,
Or
no,
who
no.
you are.
I like
He's the spokesman when you go do the conferences like Comic-Con. You're the man on the mic. So
I
that's
really like interaction with the fans at Comic-Con,
Right.
PAX East, PAX Prime.
You just don't like talking to us, is what you're saying.
If it only wasn't for the
I learned a
developers.
long time ago. You surround yourself with people who are very, very good.
Me.
Let them do.
But you
their
haven't
job.
done that yet. I mean,
I thought the implication was
We've got job postings online right now. No,
in the history of television, they've never had a Craigslist posting for a television presenter.
surround
position,
yourself
but-
with people who are really talented and let them do their job. I like being behind the camera.
Right.
But we're at DICE with you guys, so
And we thank you for being here. And of course, the main reason we had Wade on is we have producers that work on X-Play off camera right now. And I think the reason we really wanted to have Wade on is so that somebody, finally, we can put a face to the blame that people throw our way on camera. So if you guys have any problems at all, Wade Beckett on Twitter,
Beckett.
it's his fault. Because at the end of the day, he signs off on all the final decisions.
I read Television Without Pity, the G4 forums, Twitter. I read it all. I love the comments, the opinions of our fans. I try to read it all. I can't
Good
read it
for
all,
you,
but,
man.
But
Yeah, that's
Because he's the
how it's
biggest
done.
masochist at the show. Yeah.
and now he's
That is
now he's
why.
really dark inside. He has
Right,
no
that's
soul
why he's
anymore.
broken.
That's why he's so sad.
grain of salt.
Right.
Everybody's gonna get pissed off at something.
Fair enough. Well, I think the reason that we're all here, really, I mean, we've talked about this for a number of years. It is an award show, and you are getting an award for your peers. But at the end of the day, we're all video game fans, and this is an opportunity for all of us to get together and talk to the people that make the games that we're all fans of. So I know I always look forward to seeing you guys, but who were you guys most looking forward to see this year when you came here? You said, I got to make sure that I steal Itagaki's glasses, or, I got to see if Todd Howard is really that short. Like, who is the person that you guys really wanted to see here at DICE this year?
Rod.
There we go.
Such an easy
There-
answer.
it is an easy answer.
Right, and I'm already done, so
And
guys,
we're out.
Randy, it was really nice having you on the show, brother. Really
You seem
appreciate
like
it.
a really nice guy. Thank you
Enjoy
very
the chocolate
much.
milk. That's on us, by the way. No problem.
thank
there.
you. Appreciate it.
I don't know. It's not. For me, it's not any specific person. It's actually just the caliber of everybody that's at the show. I mean, that's the difference for me between DICE and GDC. Like, GDC is great, and I think it's a great forum for students and everybody in the industry to get together and talk about games. But there's something about DICE. There's a certain caliber, a certain, the top people of their companies and the industry come to DICE. And so there's like, I've moved up now in terms of as a director and being able to listen to people who are talking about sort of more bigger industry issues rather than here's how you make a milestone or here's how you make a particular piece of art. But we're talking about trends in the industry and the way the industry is moving, and that's what's really exciting to me.
Right.
And
And
then
then,
when we came, sorry to interrupt, but when we came in yesterday, you go down to the lobby at the bar, and
Right.
everybody's there, and you do your lap and shake everybody's hand. And
There's a bar here.
you're
David,
right, dude. We've been there for 2 days now. Where have you been?
David Eddings was with me, and he put his arm around us and said, man, it's just like a family reunion, isn't it? It doesn't DICE feel like that? Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's very casual. I mean, typically, and I know Wade can speak to this, when we do an event like this, we have very strict schedules. We work weeks in advance to make sure these things get done properly.
You guys
We
are
shoot these things on
organized?
time. We're very organized. Not very much so here. As a matter of fact, this feedback literally got put together 20 minutes ago. We had to promise him some chocolate. We had to get him some facial hair. Like, we had to do things. But this is a very loose thing. But the great thing I think about it, at least from a production standpoint, Wade, and I think you can agree with this, is that everybody's here because they're fans of games and they're happy to talk about their games. So it's a lot easier to just, like you said, people are just walking around the hotel, and then we can just stroll up to you guys and say, hey, you got 5 minutes for us, and it's cool.
It's really fun. Like the panels, the panels are great, and they're different. Like I love that the folks at the Academy bring in folks beyond just games.
Right.
I remember Jesse Shell's panel
That was awesome.
couple years ago. Like people are still talking about it 2 years later
Right.
because it's like it's interesting to hear different points
For
of
all
view.
you at home that didn't watch, you missed out.
YouTube ASAP.
You know what I love? Like this morning when you announced Gears of War 4. That's like
Well, that's what
That's
D.I.C.E is for.
outstanding.
We like to get all that stuff out there. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, much like your Knight Rider game you have coming out.
don't ruin the surprise.
We don't know when we're airing this episode yet.
But I love that the Knight Rider is in 3D.
You know, that was really important. We felt that it's time, to actually
Go to the
David
third dimension.
Hasselhoff
The good
in the
thing
full
is
glory of
Yeah,
the
especially now that
dimensions.
he's gotten, I'm going to put this lightly, fat in his old age. You want to experience his
kidding me?
girth
The
in the
Hoff
third
is in
dimension.
great shape.
Yeah,
For
exactly.
somebody who's fat, he's in great shape. But it's like you got to experience
He can
the chest
destroy
hair
you.
and the girth,
Yeah, I know,
without a doubt.
exactly.
But I can assure you,
Says the
David
man with
Hasselhoff
the
does not watch
metabolism.
this show, and that is why I'm comfortable saying that. But for you guys, like Wade said, there's not only people that make the games, but just people from kind of the bigger industry as a whole. And for you guys, I'm not going to say you're elder statesmen because we're all in our mid-20s here.
You're
That's
Exactly.
fine.
So you're saying they're old.
I'm saying that you're wizened and learned.
Why is it? I think they'd learn
But
it.
you
Nice.
both work at companies. You both have done projects that have been not only incredibly successful on a commercial level, but critically, you've made really great things that a lot of people have pulled from, and it's influenced their games. I imagine you guys get people walking up to you all the time at these things and being like, "Hey, I just started this indie games company," or "I'm doing this. What can you tell me?" And that's got to be a really great
It's
feeling
inspiring.
for you guys.
That's what it's all about. On Friday we have there's an Indie Games Awards ceremony for the Indie Games guys too, and that's I know our studio chips in and looks at the games and helping to decide. But what's interesting about indie games is they're all passion projects,
Right.
to a T, and those are the best ones. Like when people are doing things because it's more on the expression side
Right.
of the art as opposed to the commercial side, and I love that. It's really cool.
Do you guys miss it at all? Because Adam is hosting the Indie Games Challenge on Friday. And we got to see a lot of the games. They sent us early builds. Do you guys have you ever had the inkling to make a game like those games are made by sometimes 1 and 2 people,
Right.
4 people, small. Have you guys ever had like that inkling, like, I want to work on something on the side beyond a huge Borderlands or Gears? Have you guys ever been like, I kind of want to dabble. I want to make an iOS game. I want to make a Xbox Live game. Have you guys ever had like?
Do you ever miss
Absolutely.
financial
Every
instability is
weekend, like
basically
we
what it is.
like we
Trying to
like
say.
Right.
little
Everyone
small
live
groups
up
of
to
developers. We get together and we just what can we do in 24 hours? What can we do in 48 hours? And just make little things. A lot of it, we don't do anything with it, like to release it or anything. It's just for the exercise, for the fun.
Have they done that yet? Have they done like a? Have you guys seen the?
There have definitely been 24-hour game challenges.
You know the
I've heard.
48-hour film festival that they do in LA? So they give people a topic and they say, you have to make a movie. It's got to be 5 minutes long and you have 48
Yeah,
hours to
we've
make it.
absolutely done that. We call
Right.
them game jams, and they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
everybody looks at that, especially I think like GDC does a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
In terms of here's a theme, go make a world peace game or do whatever, right? And so, yeah, I mean, I like big games too. The idea of getting into the trenches and working with 3 or 4 people and trying to do something really small is really cool because it's a completely different level. And like working with leads who work within their structure and making and steering the Titanic as one like a bigger ship is kind of cool. Titanic's bad choice of words. A bigger ship, if you will.
A cruise ship
A cruise
in the
ship.
Mediterranean.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
also very,
even better.
very terrible.
Yeah, no. Ferries. No, that's not good either.
Stepping
No,
out.
but I mean, I think they each have their own interesting challenges, and I think I like having the creative freedom. I think be able to work with different people and allowing them to bring what they bring, and so small's fun, but I like also the big games too.
And how important is it, I think, to, we always struggle to define what casual is, what hardcore is, what AAA is. And
Right.
I think the lines are going to blur more and more as games like Infinity Blade are made by teams that are kind of accustomed to also working on bigger things. And do you think that
they
the
weren't.
definitions are going to change based on what people are working on these things?
Fortunately, defining what we do is your job. We just do what we do.
That's very unfortunate.
So
it's our job.
you guys have to you guys are the ones that are communicating it's like this or like that, and so
Right.
we tend not to get caught up in definitions. Now it tends to help sometimes when we're communicating a promise to a customer through marketing to give them a frame of reference. But for the most part, we just make what we're making.
Right.
We don't really worry about the box.
We talk about everything's AAA, right? Like the thing about the idea of AAA just doesn't mean budget anymore. You have to think about AAA, especially in Epic's case, we focus on the quality, and that's so everything being AAA means it's just about the quality bar. Even if it's an iOS game like Infinity Blade, we try to take the quality bar through the roof, and it's the same thing with our console games. So it's trying to find that balance of saying it's not about AAA means $100 million budget or yada yada yada. It means actually just applying a high quality standard to the production of it.
So Gears cost $100 million?
It did not. It was an example. It was an example.
Fortunately, you made it back, from what I understand. That's a question I've wanted to ask Rod ever since the news came out.
What?
When you make
What's
something
news?
that
Gears
makes
4?
$1 billion, what's the first thing you buy to celebrate?
What's the first thing you buy to celebrate?
Yeah. And where is that
By
body
the time you
buried?
realize you're that
Exactly.
far, you've already spent all the money.
I think
Don't be the MC Hammer of video game developers,
we talked
man.
about it earlier. College.
college tuition. I have a 17-year-old son now who's going.
Who's going to the most expensive
college
college in the world? Is that
pretty
what's gonna
much.
happen
That's
now?
pretty much, yeah. So no, I told him he's been accepted to Furman. Furman's like $54K a year, so it's like a $200K degree, which he wants in history. Like I'm going. Love you, but a $200K degree in history, like computer science, engineering, I know you're going to make some money back.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where the history thing's going.
Yeah, statistically speaking, you're not going to use that degree at all.
Right. So I might turn into law, but anyway, yeah. So he's like, hey, if he gets into UNC, I already told him, we're going to have a hard conversation because it's about half price. He's like, yeah, I get I'm going to that one.
Right.
Like it's all. But no, for me, actually, and honestly, the one thing I kind of splurged on initially, the first time that we did really well, and because one of the great things about Epic is they share the profits, it was a bottle of wine. Actually, I bought a really ridiculously expensive. I bought a 2000 Chateau Margaux Grand Cru for $900.
What does that mean in English?
That was a really good French
2000 was
Bordeaux.
an amazing year for Bordeaux.
Yeah, it's a rated 100 and it's the top
wow.
rated.
I love
Yeah.
that. We can have a spin-off.
They had lots of hundreds.
We can have a
the
spin-off wine
Wine
show with the two
Spectator.
of them.
Yeah.
Did you
I know that, yeah, and
My son was born in 2000, January 8th, so my wife bought several cases of different 2000 Bordeaux that were all 100 Wine Spectator rated, and they peak at 18 years. So the plan is to gift them to him on his 18th birthday.
So he won't so he cannot.
No,
what he's going to do?
exactly.
He's going to roll it in the first apartment.
I
and
hope
he's
he
like,
follows after me and doesn't drink it and finds a customer and sells him for like $2,500 a
That would
bottle.
be a great idea.
And starts his own company.
Sure, something, whatever.
But like for you guys, outside of buying Duke Nukem as a whole, what did you
As a
guys
gift.
do when Borderlands just crushed it? Like, what was the first? Did you buy a giant slide for the office? Like, what did you guys do?
They bought a slide.
it-
Epic bought a slide.
Yeah, it's we like Epic, and perhaps this is one of the things that our studios have in common. We have a huge profit sharing program at Gearbox. 40% of our profit goes to the studio, to the people of the studio. I've been silly. I keep reinvesting. I keep putting the money we're making back into the games. I keep wanting to.
Knight Rider 3D.
Yeah, that's been. You know how you would be surprised at how much
Everybody was
Hasselhoff
okay
costs.
with that? I was going to say, everybody was okay with that?
You know, it was. Well, that's why we keep the 60%. A fewer percentage of people get to decide what to do with the studio's money.
How many?
I say, look, I like Hasselhoff. We're going for it, and it happens.
How many people work at your studios?
Now we're about 160 at HQ, but we also have Poland. People can fly in Poland, and Chair, which is like 12 people in Utah.
We're at about 200, and we work with other external studios that are helping with our games. So at any given moment, there's another 150 or so people outside of Gearbox that work with us on our products.
Which is a crazy amount of people. We got about 90 that work at G4, I think, as a network, which is probably why your content's way better than ours.
X-Play has 4 people on the show.
And
There's
it
4
shows.
people.
It proves that what
One of them is running the
passion can
camera.
do.
There's one guy. There's 2 cameras here, and they're both running back and forth. There's one guy running back and forth.
Yeah,
Stop talking. Okay,
Yeah.
keep talking.
that's what we do. We have to cut. Like, posts on these shows are incredibly difficult.
Right.
It takes so long.
Right.
And what do you guys think about? This is something we talked about. This. I'm recent. I guess at this point, I'm recently married, and one of the things that we've really tried to do is cook more at home. And so we've been exploring all these different restaurants in LA, and we found that a lot of these restaurants in LA.
That didn't go together. You're cooking more. So
I
you're-
can't wait to find out where this is
We
going.
learned that cooking at home is not our forte, so we've been exploring
Right.
more restaurants in Los
Right.
Angeles. And there's a ton of restaurants that are now getting kind of these superstar chefs that own their own spaces, but they have common ideas, so they're coming together and opening smaller restaurants. Do you guys see a future where the two of you could still have your respective companies, but does Epic and Gearbox ever collaborate on a game together? And I know that I'm not privy to the publishing conversations and all of those things.
You know that we are partners. Gearbox uses Epic's amazing Unreal Engine technology for
I've
many
heard
of
it.
its
I mean,
games.
outside of the engine
I've
stuff,
heard it.
though.
I've heard of that thing. Unreal. What was it called? Unreal Engine.
Yes,
Yeah.
3.
It's for RTSs. It's pretty cool. It's not,
Exactly.
It's not a really crappy.
Exactly.
I love it. Like,
Yeah, it does
but
its thing.
seriously, like how many games last year? Do you know how many games off the
I
top of your
don't, but I think we got? We've got like 12 Unreal Engine games are like nominated for awards just here at this show.
Yeah, there's like
That's awesome.
Like there's always. I love.
Well, Tim.
Right, and Tim's getting
is,
the Hall of Fame award.
getting inducted
I love
into the Hall
at
of Fame.
GDC. I went to the Epic booth at GDC, and there was like a list of all the games that were built on the Unreal Engine. I was like,
Right.
so everybody's using the Unreal Engine.
Pretty much. Well,
And
that's
that
our goal.
But that goes straight to your son's college fund, right? Like just
No. Well, yeah, I mean, a little bit, but no. I mean, it's trying. It's one of the things. Like when we look at, we recently sort of figured out and boiled down our core values. That we have 4 core values that make up Epic Games, and one of them is basically lead by example. That's one of our core values, and it goes beyond kind of the way that we run our projects, but also in terms of trying to push the industry and make and represent. Like we're big in ESA and ESRB, and we help get the Xbox to have 512 memory and all this stuff by representing the game makers. And that's the same thing with the engine, is trying to allow for creating the UDK, which is free, to allow people to go out and learn on these tools and be able to have access to these tools. And so that's one of the just things that we're trying to do for the good of the industry, is just have that capabilities out there for people.
I do love like the right now casual and mobile isn't like a dirty word anymore. It used to be people are like, oh, it's a casual game, casual
Right.
games or whatever. It's not that way, and I really do think that it's like independent film was in the 90s and early 2000s. And to your question about like people working together, I think there's an opportunity for people to collaborate and like work on stuff. It's like, hey, let's work on a smaller game together. Let's work on a
It's a little hard. I mean, I think when you have people who are really established, and it's harder to get two very established companies with very separate cultures and very separate designs to work together. Like, I mean, anytime you outsource, when you try to work with somebody, like, when we work with PCF on anything, in terms of trying to give them suggestions for Bulletstorm or whatever, like that kind of distance it's hard to work, like where you are kind of like in the trenches, in the hallways and in the meeting rooms and the late nights and the crunch food and just all that kind of stuff. That's where so it's really hard to have this sort of
Everything in this world happens because of people. Yeah. And with the games, the groups of people that are feeding each other and riffing off of each other and driving each other, that's where the magic happens. Talent here and talent there, there's always mutual respect and admiration, but to execute, especially when we're doing complicated things, none of us can do it alone. And so people that can anticipate each other's strengths and weaknesses because they've been through it so many times before, that's where you can get humming.
But I mean,
you can do real great stuff.
Randy has played every Gears game before anybody else.
Oh, so wait, you sent him early code, and we only
No,
got,
he
like,
actually he comes to Raleigh. He
Yeah.
comes to Raleigh and he plays Gears. No, I'm serious. He comes to Raleigh and he plays Gears before anybody else, and then he gives us notes.
So,
I think I speak for
so
Cliff
wait,
when I
wait,
say that we
Cliff
feel
comes out-
incredibly
so-
offended
so-
that we don't have this
so
kind
what
of
I-
relationship
so I-
with
Cliff comes
these
out to
people.
Gearbox.
So what I want to know is, what do you think of Borderlands 2 right now? Is it playing well?
I
Oh,
wish-
they don't
I
actually
wish-
invite us there.
Yeah,
So you can just invite them to our
exactly.
studio.
I wish I had access to Borderlands 2.
What's your favorite thing about Borderlands 2?
I wish
They
I
have
had
these
access.
guns that shoot a lot of bullets, and it's pretty cool.
And, yeah, Borderlands 1. As you know from the Gears franchise, I'm a co-op whore, so I just love co-op.
a what?
Co-op whore.
You said it, not me.
Yeah. And so
Some of the word horror started to mean when we love something. Isn't that weird?
well, you do it. You're willing to do it. You love it so much.
Because I always thought that
You
the
love
word
it so much,
when we
you're
love
willing to get
something,
paid.
the relationships
I always
had
thought
with
it meant
certain people,
that
my
when we
friend.
love something for a price.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. There you go.
I love it so much I'm willing to be paid to do it. No, but I mean that's Borderlands is an amazing game, and it's one of those things that it's. I think
You flatter us.
No, but I mean the longevity of it is what's amazing to me. Is like even now going back to it with my brother all the time, and your DLC and stuff like that. So that it's had such a
It's been surprising for us too.
a long,
the tail has
long
been
tail
pretty
on Borderlands. Has
astonishing.
been crazy.
I got to say, like on the show, we get an astonishing, and I'm not just saying that, we get so much email about like what are you guys gonna have about Borderlands 2? When is it coming? I was like,
We should do a show about it.
Well, whenever Randy can give us the stuff.
Yeah, we would appreciate that. So just so you guys know, we would appreciate it. And one of the things too, I know, and Randy and I talked about this in a little bit earlier when we were speaking. You guys, like both companies, not only do you support DLC on a level, but I think that in a lot of ways, other companies should look at what you guys are doing with your DLC and what you do with your community. Look at what you're doing and implement it, because you guys really are leading the charge. What do you say to people that maybe don't think DLC is as important as you know it is, and why do you think it's taken so long? Because there are still a lot of games out there that roll out the obligatory one or two things, but then they're on to the next thing, as opposed to you guys that are just constantly, rewarding the people that gave you their $60 initially.
Right. Well, I think Borderlands is a case study for DLC, right? I think that
absolutely. I said it in the interview.
I think didn't we? I thought we gave you guys some type of. We gave an award to Borderlands.
Pretty sure we made up an award most coolest DLC given by this company.
From last year. There was you guys got some type of DLC award. Everybody's still playing it.
We're very gracious. Thank you.
Right now, everybody's still playing it.
Thank you.
Well,
it means a lot to the guys too. We all just are so gracious for when you put your heart and souls into something, especially when you take the risk to put that much of a creative commitment into something that is some kind of a bolt-on to what the main thing is, to get that love in return. It's really gratifying, and it pays off.
That's what kind of fed into ROM Shadow. I think looking at Borderlands as an example, like looking at what people want from an actual story-based content, and not just, here's more multiplayer maps, that kind of stuff. That's where ROM Shadow came out. It was like, okay, we need to put together a 3-hour campaign, and it's not just multiplayer maps, based on a lot of stuff that I think Gearbox sort of led the way on.
And I think people should look at what you guys...
Sorry to go back,
go ahead.
but
go ahead.
Now that I think about it, and I hadn't thought about this before, but one of the first things that Gearbox did as a studio was we created Half-Life Opposing Force, and we took, back then we called them expansions, but we took, there's this great thing that Valve created, Half-Life, and we thought, hey, wouldn't it be fun to create a new storyline, turn it on its head, like what if we were the soldier, and we branded it as its own thing, and it was its own, almost like its own product, and I think that kind of DNA was still with us, so that when it came time, when we were, motivationally and momentum committed to just continuing with the Borderlands work, we kind of assembled into these promises that were all not just branded but had their own storylines and content that was the kind of stuff that any one of those with the right investment could have become a full game.
Right.
Sure.
Well, I think DLC went through a dark period right before that kind of stuff. I think DLC went through a period of what was on the cutting room floor, like what's the deleted scene, what's the thing, and it's like
I think there's a big difference. I think you're absolutely right. Like there's a big difference between like something like tacked on.
What do we have that could be we could really cheaply put out there and take people's money?
$5, 10 more bucks, or whatever. Or I think both you guys have done a fantastic job with Gears and Borderlands. You have the big drawing board, and you have something that's at the end, but you're like, hey, we can't fit it here, but what if we did this, or what if we did that? I think there's a big difference between that and like, we got this one thing over here. We can probably get $5 more out of this. All we got to do is
cut it out of the game.
Couple more artists, we do a couple more lines, and then.
Well, we're really cognizant of that now. Like when we focus on DLC, we really think about how do we separate it and try not to do. That's the reason ROM Shadow is a prequel. It's like there's no way you can look at ROM Shadow and say, oh, that was part of the main game and they cut it out and made it, and just repackaged it. And that's something we always think about when we think about DLC. Is like, is this truly separate? Is this a different story that no one can say, oh, that was on the cutting room floor and they brought it back?
Right. Well, and I think one of the things, too, that both of your companies have done really well in regards to DLC and even the development of the core title is that you've kind of changed the stigma of going online and reading what your fans have to say. People are terrified to do that because, for the most part, negativity abounds in those types of environments.
But honestly,
what you guys have really done is it's, launching betas months in advance of games. Things like that. Like, you guys listen to your fans, implement it, and then both commercially and critically, things do well. Right. Why aren't more people listening to their fans? Why are they so scared to go online and be picked apart, really?
I don't know if it's fear. It's definitely not free. Right now, our community is, well over 1 million users, and it takes an infrastructure to manage that.
Right.
All the, the ways that they communicate, forums, and have people that are actually capable of parsing and dealing with it. And it's not free to consume that information, but I think that the true heart of an entertainer, the purpose of the entertainer is to create feelings for his audience. And if it's a one-way relationship, the entertainer's actually not getting the feedback that Why the entertainment?
Where's his validation? Why is he doing this?
And that's like, we need that as entertainers. We need the feelings that we're trying to create. We need to feel that feedback. And so, in this digital age, we're doing it through online communities and other ways. But I couldn't imagine, existing in a bubble. Like, as an entertainer, it just doesn't make any sense.
Never before have you had the opportunity to talk one-on-one with your fans.
Right.
You guys are both really big on Twitter. You guys, I've seen both of you answer directly to fans, talk to fans
for hours. Hours.
Wade spends a lot of time reading your tweets.
Okay.
Alone.
I follow both of you.
I'll tweet something right now.
I'm just like, yeah. But how do you
remind me to tweet this 2 weeks from now when you say it.
How do you cut through it? Because there's
a double-edged sword.
There's that online noise.
Right.
Everyone's like, I hate your game. I love your game. How do you get through to those fans that you want to get through and like reach, who have legitimate, whether it's praise or or criticism?
It's a filtering process. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. The reality is the people you're talking to is a vocal minority, right? They're the people who probably the most hardcore because they care enough to interact with you directly and they want to speak to you. So they're a very loyal, very core, central part of your group. But they're also the smallest part of your group. They can represent tens of thousands to potentially millions and millions of an audience. But so they're sort of a statistical representative of the audience. And so you have to figure out what's meaningful, what's not meaningful, what's just certain people. And a lot of times it's just perception. Like, when people found out that we had weapon skins in our game, right, and they were like, "Oh my God, you bastards are charging me for stuff," and so I would literally spend 8 hours on Twitter, like, and I mean, I'm not. That's not an exaggeration. I was in Mexico flying home, and I got go Wi-Fi, and I'm like on Twitter for 8 hours nonstop, answering the questions about it. And people just, once you explained it properly to people, they were just like, "Oh, okay, great, I just bought this pack," or "I'm going to buy that gun," and it's the first initial reaction. And that's actually what I like the most about Twitter now, is that ability to instantly react to something. Cliff uses it all the time.
Cliff's on Twitter?
Occasionally. No, but he'll get misquoted in a press thing, and he can shut it down like immediately. Somebody else, like, before things can get built up, he can immediately deflate it by just saying, like, that was misquoted, here's what the actual thing is, and it'll go. And that's what I love. I love that fact of as soon as something starts to build, you can address it immediately and get it out there immediately.
For better or for worse. You can have stuff that goes on Twitter.
The occasional drunk Twitter is not a good thing. Like, I've had the few drinks, let's be funny. The thing is, like, there's a lot
Rod's installed a Mantini lock on his phone, is what he calls it, and after 2 Mantinis,
you can't do it anymore.
He's just like, it won't work anymore.
You guys must have, I mean, you guys are a cable channel, but I don't know if you've encountered this, but the first time I've only been on Twitter for a little over a year or whatever, but it's a lot of pressure. Like, you feel like you just started your own cable network, and people are listening as an audience, and you have to come up with content.
The channel of Rod.
Yeah, and you have to come up with content, and you're feeling like, how do I interact? And so it takes a while.
Well, I mean, I'm constantly drunk, so I feel no pressure whatsoever.
I like the Rod channel, but when you do stuff like with the kids, and you're like having your kids like dance, you're like, hey, dance for Daddy's.
I don't
Twitter
do dance
channel.
for Daddy's
First of all,
Twitter channel.
out of context, if somebody tuned in just now,
that's really
that's the
awkward.
most up thing anybody's ever going to see on the internet.
Dude.
By the way, you just painted this picture with this guy.
Now all the pedophiles will
being.
subscribe.
The worst thing. So the worst thing was really funny. So I was trying to figure out, like, I didn't have the phone that you could do video with. I could only you could take pictures, but I could use Justin TV or whatever to do video and save it to your hard drive on your phone. So my son, for the very first time, was riding his bike. Like, this was like one of those days, like when your son walks.
Do we really want to?
No.
Are we okay with this?
So my son, it's like
We're going to. You started this.
Yeah,
We're in the rabbit hole.
Anyway, so we're out.
Why are you sad that we're here?
I took him to the school parking lot. He's on his bike, his brand new bike. He's got the helmet. This is his big thing, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna video this, but the only way I can video it is to use this Justin TV, but save it to my hard drive. So I'm like, okay, William, go, and he starts pedaling. He's really excited, and I'm videoing, and all of a sudden I'm like, 3 viewers, 7 viewers, and all of a sudden I'm like,
I'm live streaming.
He's never gonna
recover
from this.
Gears fans, we're just like, why is your kid riding a bike, dude?
No, but that's the thing that's amazing about Gears fans, is that it was so great, because actually what I got was, dude, he's doing such a great job. Congratulations. Tell him he's doing awesome. And so I'm like, William, people are really loving what you're doing. Like, it was awesome.
That's
actually.
cool.
And then they were mad at the weapons. And they're like,
Yo, that weapon bike is lame, son.
The bike is awesome, but what's with the sawed off, dude?
Where's the flame on the back of that thing? I'm actually glad that you guys brought this up because this is something that Wade and I never really get to have a conversation about. Wade has been at G4 forever, the Tech TV days. He's been around since the evolution.
700 years.
700 years.
I was at ZD TV, then Tech TV, G4 Tech TV, now G4.
Right.
Now NBC Universal or
So you've been
You
here
got
for a
200
very
more
long
years to
time.
catch up to Yoda.
And I feel like, right? I feel like that, our fans, and we can all agree, the fans that are negative are not only the most vocal, but they're also representative of probably the smallest portion of what your fan
Do
base
you think
is.
they're the most vocal, or do you think you just hear them the loudest because it
I
hurts
think that
the
they
most?
they want to spin
cuts
more.
the
I think they're most
deepest.
vocal.
I think they'll spin more. They're the ones that can create multiple accomes
A
to
mad
have the
person.
same opinion of
They're
things.
also the most extreme. Like I think a lot of times what you get is there's no gray.
Absolutely.
It's black or white. It's like
You can do what I do. Whenever we get like hate mail, I'll reply to them personally, and I just write, "You mad, bro?" And then that's it. And
That's
it,
awesome.
It tends to
And we
shut
should
them
be
down.
doing that
It's just,
all
in fact, we're going
the
to
time.
automate that. It just
Right.
That's really cool.
Well, that's the thing, though. We've been trying to Cliff used to have this thing where he used to retweet haters.
Yeah.
Right.
I
And
remember
then
that.
all of his fans would go after him, and we just felt like
Yeah.
that's not a good way of actually dealing with people. That doesn't help them. That just makes them
note
angrier.
to self.
Yeah.
Retweet
Destroy the hater
all the-
So the thing that, but actually no, there's a lot of it now is I actually try to engage more on, and that was like I said, some of the stuff like DLC 1 for Gears. DLC 1 for Gears was because with our extension, we were able to ship DLC 1 on the disc, and people were really offended by that. And so we talked about a lot of that stuff, and I explained it to them. Look, dude, if you buy a pink gun and you want to show off your pink gun, when it's on disc, everybody sees it. If it's not on disc, only you
Yeah.
see it,
Yeah.
right? And so once people understood the reasoning behind it, they were like, "Oh, I get it." But before that, like when they come at you, they come at you hard,
Yeah.
and it's like really black and white. And you're like, "No, let's talk it
I'm
through."
telling you, you can solve all this with memes. You just say, "Don't tase me, bro."
Right.
Just meme them back.
I have-
Because they understand memes.
with Mario Lopez.
The
right?
haters
Right.
understand
Those
memes.
haters gonna
They
take-
do.
Yeah.
I have tried. I'll give them one. Like on Twitter, I'll respond like, "Hate X Play. You guys should do this. You should." I'll give them one like, "What would you like to see more of? Like what
Right.
what review?"
You're going to take the Velociraptor approach to
What
this.
what review?
So were you going to give them a brutally honest tweet?
No, but I'll give them one. I'll be like, "Hey, what? I hate your show."
There's only so much you can do in 120 characters,
Well,
though.
140. I'm like,
140.
what would you like to see? What am I doing? What are we doing that you want to see? Like, I'll give them that one. And if it's constructive, like, hey, I want to see. You know what? I'm a PS3 fan. I want more PS3 reviews on the show. Okay, I'll take that. If it's just like, I hate what you're doing. I hate the set. I'm like, well, okay. I'm sorry. I'm not going
hate
to
your
change.
face.
I'm not going to change the
It's
set.
not
face.
actually a set, it's just a green screen, so
Wait.
don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You want to be in
Wait,
space?
Wait, what?
Well, you haven't been to work in months, but
Yeah.
yeah, we have a green
Yeah,
screen, you
it's a
guys.
green screen.
And
Green screen?
yeah, he's actually been there. You have too. Like, it's not a real set. It's
not a real set.
But my question to
work-
you, as an actual employee, because we do implement changes fairly regularly, and one of the things is to keep the show fresh. We do a lot of shows every week for
Right.
years and years and years.
Right.
But how much?
2,000.
So many, but how? I guess like how much of that is heard and assimilated and then produced? Like, because at the end of the day, you are the final line. So, and people do have access to it directly.
For better or for worse, if the show's good, thumbs up. If it's bad, thumbs down.
So
whatever.
simple.
Yeah, right.
So simple.
Right.
What I want, my
That's
goal,
way easier of
my,
an answer than
my
I
goal,
expected. I was
what,
trying to
what
never
I,
ask that
what I
question because your
really
answer
want
was
to do,
stupid.
my goal, and you know it's funny. I'm glad that I'm actually. Thanks for having me on feedback.
Oh,
What I
you're welcome.
What I really want to do is I want to get XPlay on Metacritic. I want us to be like. I want to see. I want
That's
to.
meta.
I thought
in
the
and of
half
itself.
point thing was the whole reason why you did the half point thing was to get on Metacritic.
no,
Peeling
I mean,
back
no.
the veil for all you fans at home
no,
right
no,
now.
no.
You've just met the wizard behind the curtain.
No,
is
I want
basically
us
what we're doing right
to
now.
So
be-
why did you go to half point if you didn't do it to get on Metacritic?
I think you're missing the point.
I did,
want
clearly.
I want us to be
You're missing
reviewed.
the half
I want
point,
us to be
Rod. You're missing the
reviewed
half point.
on Metacritic. I want like.
Oh, we want to get a show. We want to get as
X-Play
a show.
on
We want to be
Metacritic.
Oh,
reviewed.
you
on
want to be
Metacritic.
reviewed?
Yeah, I want.
I'll be
want-
the first to
yeah,
agree. I think that's a terrible idea. Is I don't think I'm going to rate very well.
I'm happy to review your show, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sure both of
I
you
will
guys-
give it through a 1 through 5 with half points
I
now,
will
so that I
send
can
you-
Metacritic.
I think that I'm going to send a copy of the show to every developer.
New catchphrases, okay? Like brutally honest is
Wait.
dead to me now.
Hey, by
no,
the way,
seriously,
what
brutally
did you-
no.
but what did you
Brutally
think
honest
about-
used to mean. By the way, we're going to give something a bad review, but we're going to save the bad review till after the commercial. So hey, stay tuned for the brutally honest.
Yeah,
It doesn't mean that anymore. You've given like a 3 or a 4.
We've never reviewed any of your games poorly. You have no idea what you're talking
hey,
about.
by
You don't
the-
know what
by
the
the way-
sting of a brutally honest review
by
is.
the way-
No, but I'm saying as a viewer, you're like tempting me
know-
with this is going to be awesome because we're going to totally trash this
We're
game.
tempting
But
you with
don't.
negativity.
But you don't trash it.
I would recommend then that you watch the Amy review that will be airing, that has already
Last
aired.
week.
And it was truly one of the most pleasurable and also one of the guiltiest moments of my life reading this review.
That sounded like your honeymoon.
Wow.
yet
Are you
guilty.
still, you're
We
still
learned
married.
a lot
You're
of
still
things
married,
about
right? You're
ourselves
still
once we
married?
finally started having sex, and yeah, but we don't need. That's neither.
Yeah, I
here nor
know
there.
exactly.
But honestly, can you imagine if X-Play was on Metacritic being reviewed?
Oh, I can.
And our bonuses.
I don't like it.
And our bonuses were decided by our Metacritic score.
I got like a kid, dude. I got to worry about. I got a kid in the future that I'll probably have to pay
Future
for
kid.
because apparently tuitions are expensive. Is what I've learned. from
Crazy.
this. Yeah, I don't
Crazy
want to
expensive.
be bonuses contingent upon Metacritic scores, and
No, you do not.
Well, he's wishing for it.
not going to happen, Wade.
He's going to get you there.
if
I
you
don't
want,
want that
Randy and I are happy to send you a critique of each show.
You know what we should do? You know what? Mystery Science style.
Right.
Just
Oh,
like
wow.
the two of you.
We'll just sit there and make fun.
You know what? I don't like Blair's outfit. I don't like. He's got a sweater on.
Well, I
make
mean, we
fun.
got Adam's new facial hair to make
We've
fun
talked
of.
about this, and I think that Rod had quite possibly the most appropriate description of facial hair that I've ever heard. And caveat being, I haven't heard many descriptions of facial hair on people, but
Right.
Adam looks like what?
An Amish Wolverine.
Adam says it looks like an Amish Wolverine.
I think
Hold
he
on.
is. I think he's got
Really wrap your head around it right now,
right,
Randy.
Right.
I can't remove it now. Next time I see him, he's screwed.
Look,
like,
if you're growing,
like,
if you're
I'm
growing
like,
a
hey,
yeah, if you grow a beard without a mustache, there's a mistake there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You're either churning butter or you're on the wagon. You shouldn't be reviewing games at that point. It's just wrong. You grow the mustache.
On that note, I think we should probably end this episode. Unfortunately, we are running out of time. Quickly before we go, though, Randy, what are people at home looking forward to from Gearbox in the immediate future?
Other than Knight Rider.
Besides
3D.
Knight Riders.
Besides
Knight
Knight Rider
Rider
3D.
Well, we do have Borderlands 2 in development. We're all very excited about that. And Aliens Colonial Marines. So, yes, we're busy.
Very much so. Wade, anything that you'd like to speak on? Now that we're going to be on Metacritic, now's your time to sell the show.
I just want to thank you guys like for hanging out, talking,
Always.
Happy to do it.
talking for a
Hey,
couple
free
minutes.
alcohol.
Always a
How could I resist?
Free
Absolutely.
chocolate milk.
Wait, there's alcohol.
And
Hey,
free
I already
chocolate
did. I already did my shots. So you guys are behind.
And Rod, you guys actually have a kind of a cool announcement that you guys have recently started talking about.
Sorry, what? You lead me into?
You got to check your email again.
No, I know. I mean, DLC 4 is coming for Gears 3. So people who got the Season Pass, it's all part of the Season Pass love, in terms of that. But March 27th, DLC 4, we got 5 new maps. We've got another 250 achievement points, all that good stuff. We got weapon skins. We've got new characters. Lots of great stuff. So, but it's called Forces of Nature. It's 5 maps, and it's all sort of these cool maps that have dynamic weather and that kind of stuff on them. So a lot of cool. And Ravensdown makes a return. The world's smallest Gears map makes a return, so it should be fun.
All right. Oh, awesome.
Can you get Ice-T to come over and play the map with Blair and I?
Ice-T's in Vegas this week, dude. We should hook that up. If nothing else, to spend time with Coco.
There you go.
Maybe the first good idea Wade has had this entire episode.
Season 2 of Ice Love Coco hits E soon.
There you go.
Not bad, sir.
Nice,
Corporate synergy is what we're just experiencing.
That's what that was.
Well, again, thank you guys so much for being here. And again, I've said this multiple times, but thank you for supporting your communities in the way that you do. I think you guys are leading the charge. So, very good stuff. And Wade, you're the best boss ever.
There you go.
Keep
It's
employing me.
review season, apparently.
Make checks.
Go buy the Happy Knees.
Thank you very much, sir. And again, thank you to the Video Game History Museum for having us here today as well. And the nice
Awesome
folk at the
stuff.
Red Rock Casino for providing Randy with the chocolate milk. Very hard to find in Vegas because
By the
people
way.
only drink alcohol here.
Yes.
And for you guys at home, thank you for watching Feedback. New episodes every week at g4tv.com/feedback.